Every marathon has markers. Tonight's day 4 marker looms large over the remaining 666 players. The money bubble.
I don't care who you are, $20,000 is a lot of money. You can really sense the people that want to make the money and the people that are going to play like I am, who wants to chip up. You can gather a lot of chips.
I mean, sometimes people just will give me chips just because they're just tired of it, you know? So I feel like I can gain an edge in any aspect of the game. I'm going to take it.
I like to gamble and just make a lot of plays and play a lot of hands. That's how I get a lot of chips.
As this poker marathon reaches the halfway point, focus is at a premium when it's required most.
Whoa. I hope that wasn't on TV, was it?
The last thing you want to do is trip up.
Texas Dolly Brunson, who wrote the book.
He's moving in for the kill.
And there it is. Helmuth wins the championship.
Moneymaker puts his name amongst the greatest players in the game.
Wake me now.
Greg Merson is the main event champion.
Biggest day of my life.
Main event day 4.
Hi everyone, welcome to day 4 of the World Series of Poker main event. Not just another day, here time to find out which players will make the money.
Day 4, baby, day 4.
4 day for the charm.
There we are.
I have no clue. Don't ask me about dating time.
I'm Lon McCarron with Norman Chad and Kara Scott. The defending champ continues his back-to-back runs. Former chip leader Max Steinberg says he's a great player, Norman.
Well, just because I say I'm great looking doesn't make it true, but maybe Max is a great player.
20-something Max Coleman on top of the leaderboard to start day 4.
This Max, a great chess player, now figuring out another game.
Norwegian pro Annette Oberstad headlines a tough secondary table.
She was a great poker player before she was 19 when she won the World Series Europe main event.
You're what, 24 now approximately?
Yeah.
The way I was told was when you're 20s, you think you know everything. In your 30s, you think you do. In your 40s, you realize you have nothing figured out.
Wise words, Adam. Here's someone who knows a thing or two about being wise, Doyle Brunson.
Well, he's approaching his 80s, so he knows twice over that he has nothing figured out.
One player over 1 million chips. That is Max Coleman. Steinberg and Van Lyck took turns as day 3 leaders and remain in the top 10.
Steinberg reached his lofty chip status with his set-over-set knockout of Phil Ivey. 666 players remain. 648 will make the money.
Some notable stacks around the room. Farmer Phil Mater still in it, but he's below average.
You see Melanie Weisner and Rupert Elder there. That's girlfriend, boyfriend, and right now, girlfriend's got most of the chips in this relationship.
Let's jump to an outer table. There's Max Steinberg. He and Dick Van Lyck jousting 2 of the top 5 stacks. Steinberg 3-bet with ace-10, was called by Van Lyck with king-jack in the small blind. There's the flop. Ace, king, ace. Trip aces for Steinberg. Van Lyck with 2 pair. He checks.
Van Lyck, 54-year-old investor.
Born in Holland, lives in Belgium. They both check. Turn card. Deuce of hearts. Van Lyck does not improve his hand.
He's drawing dead, but he's chewing his gum like he has the best hand.
And he's got chips like he's got the best hand. 25,000.
Max calls himself a great player, but his expectation going to every tournament is, I'm not going to cash. Otherwise, he says, you set yourself up for disappointment.
24-year-old bracelet winner just calls.
Now Van Lyck's chewing his gum like he doesn't have the best hand.
River card. Queen of clubs.
I think he still thinks he's good, though.
Van Lyck has been lured into a false sense of security, and he bets 50,000.
I believe Steinberg might be wary Van Lyck has a full house.
And can't go crazy on that board. He does just call. Max paid to see his cards. Turn them up, Dick.
I mean, it's your turn.
Great players know whose turn it is.
Max shows the best hand and gets to see Van Lyck's cards.
Van Lyck now chewing his gum like he was bluffing.
Well, he's definitely chewing his gum as though he lost the pot. And indeed, Steinberg stacks the winnings. He's over 1.1 million now.
Great player, chip leader, sharp dresser.
The money bubble is an interesting time at the main event. Pros push amateurs around. Amateurs try to hang around, and hey, we get to talk about it. For those who may not know, what makes the money bubble such a unique event, Norman?
Let me put it in terms you'll understand, Lon. Let's say you broadcast for 3 straight days. Blah, 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 in that booming voice. And then on the 4th day, you're told you're not going to get paid a cent. You would faint. No McCarron has ever worked for free. Well, the next 18 players eliminated go home with nothing. The remaining 648 go home with something. Hence, I give you the money bubble.
There's Doyle Brunson. He knows a little something about cashing at the World Series. Kara Scott spoke to him before play began today.
Doyle Brunson is a legend in this game, and you can't say that too much. Here you are, 10 bracelets, 2 of them main event bracelets. Can you start thinking about a 3rd main event bracelet yet, or is it too early?
I think it's a little bit early yet. It's, you know, a long way to go. Well, I'm grateful to have the opportunity.
Any plans for today as the bubble approaches? We're starting day 4 so close.
No, I don't pay any attention to that. I just play. It's actually a pretty good time to accumulate some chips because people are trying to hang in.
Okay, well, watch out, players. The man with the most bracelets remaining in the main event is at the feature table with a big stack.
How about that 612,000 strong for Texas Dolly, but as we've seen, a big stack can melt away very quickly. Dan Hicks, Tampa, Florida poker pro, under the gun with a raise to 11,000 with King Queen. Ludovic Lacaille, French-born London resident with pocket 7s, calls from Evers, Georgia. Amateur William O'Neill with ace 10. And he kicks it in. Frederick Howling from Sweden folds King Deuce.
This is George Carlin's first main event since he passed away.
That is not George Carlin. Stuart Lovelace. He folds. Michael Cloud folds as well. To the button, Michael McLean, a familiar face to TV poker fans, made the main event final table in 04.
He was 9th that year and immortalized for his agony at the 03 main event.
He calls with King Queen suited to Doyle Brunson in the big blind with Queen Jack, and he'll come along.
Bad hand, good price for Doyle, getting 7.5 to 1 on a call there.
Ludovic Lacaille checks his cards one more time. We've got 4 players that will see this flop. 8, Jack, 7. Lacaille hits a set of 7s. Doyle Brunson with top pair. Doyle checks.
Doyle came in cheap and got what he paid for, a 1% hand.
Dan Hicks checks as well. Now with the set, Lacaille.
He was 16th at the 09 main event.
Can't slow play. Too many players in the hand. He bets 26,000. McLean now with a flush draw.
48 years old, part-time player, 8 World Series cashes, short stacked on the money bubble.
Mostly a cash game player now. A few tournaments thrown in. And he shoves all in for his last 114,500.
He pushes on the draw with 22 big blinds left.
Doyle gets rid of his jacks. Dan Hicks.
Not much of a decision here for Hicks.
Folds his air. And now Lacaille makes the call with his set. McLean will need to hit a card or go home empty-handed.
I don't want to see that agony of defeat expression again. I want to see Mike McLean's thrill of victory face.
Set of 7.
Lacaille ahead with the set.
1 pair would be crazy.
McLean looking for a diamond that's not an 8. The 8 of spades pairs the board. McLean drawing dead and eliminated.
Boy, he busts on the bubble and doesn't even get a river sweat. He should be in agony.
So Mike McLean with the agony of defeat once again here in the main event.
He got to day 4 and nothing to show for it.
What did you have, Doyle?
Had a top pair.
Had a jack?
So as Lacaille stacks McLean's chips, we are reminded that after so much grinding, it can all end so quickly with a walk out the door empty-handed.
Glad he did that.
The 2013 World Series of Poker is brought to you by Caesars Casino on Facebook. What happens in Vegas now can go anywhere. Welcome back to the Rio. The money bubble still approaching. 659 players remain right now. 648 guaranteed, almost $20,000.
Is there a place in the Rio I can buy some shorts and a tank top afterwards?
I'm sure if you don't mind us saying World Series of Poker, then
Oh, you also like to promote this place. Oh, okay, that's the case. Winter jacket and gloves it is.
Back in 2005, the man you just saw, Adam Friedman, played a very memorable hand. Shane Bartholomew all in with a nut flush against Adam Friedman. He holds the second nut flush, considering calling the all-in with all the cards having been dealt.
I call.
He makes the call. Bartholomew turns over the nut flush. Wow.
That's what I'm talking about!
Wow, what a blow to Adam Friedman. He is overcome with grief.
You can make one bad mistake.
Friedman's beating himself up unnecessarily.
So good for 3 days.
Friedman managed to recover from that hand and finished 43rd that year in the main event, good for over $235,000.
Friedman at a very tough secondary table and sitting in a very tough spot in the 7th seat, Annette Overstad.
Super aggressive, super talented, super tough.
Sandwiched between Friedman and Overstad is pro Yevgeny Timoshenko.
Super methodical, super calculating, not a super stack, slightly below average at the moment.
When I saw Doyle playing the 50K,
Yeah.
I haven't had a dream or premonition about poker in years. I mean, when I'm younger, I used to do it all the time.
Raised to 11,000.
I swear to God, I had this dream I was going to get heads up with Doyle. Wow. And then it was 100% was going to happen. And then when he made a major suck-out lane on day 2 in the no-limit section, and then I became the chip leader on the first level of the 3rd day, I'm like, it's going to happen. Maybe I just got the wrong tournament. Let's see, bigger first place prize.
Dmitry Ivanov opened up for a raise to 11,000 with a jack deuce of hearts, folded over to Friedman now in the small blind, 6-5 of hearts, and he's going to call.
Adam's a terrific mixed games player. He knocked me out of a World Series horse event 3 years ago with a great call and stud, and I was overcome with grief.
How are you doing today? Oh, no talker. So serious. Why so serious?
Heads up, 6-5 of hearts, jack deuce of hearts. All right, here's the flop. 2 hearts.
I'm going to check it to my friend here.
Both flop a flush draw. Ivanov's is best.
Ivanov does look serious. I think he's bothered by climate change.
They've used up nearly half the hearts in the deck already. Ivanov with 14,000.
I hope this hand doesn't go beyond the river. Friedman might run out of beverage.
Adam casually makes the call.
Friedman won a stud 8 bracelet in 2012 and made 2 World Series final tables this year.
Turn card now. Another 4 actually helps Friedman with chop possibilities. And that's a check.
Adam hoping for a free card while he hydrates.
Check from Ivanov.
Both happy to see a free one.
River card. 9 of diamonds misses both. No chop.
Boy, I believe sipping this much smoothie indicates stress. I once saw Joe Navarro consume a big gulp between the turn and the river, and he didn't have a hand.
Any bet might take this down. Friedman bet 18,000.
Yeah, Friedman's determined Ivanov doesn't have a hand, and it's a good read.
And Ivanov does fold.
Adam outplayed me in stud, and now he outplays Ivanov in hold'em.
All right, so Friedman collecting chips at a critical juncture here on day 4, up over 300,000.
You know us mixed gamers never bluff.
Adam feeling very comfortable and chatty.
Thank you.
Yep. Is there any chance we can get, is Norman in the building today?
Yes.
Tell him to stop by here. We need him here.
This guy's ruthless. He wants to knock me out again.
657 players left, average stack 290,000. We get a look now at a new face of 2013, Blake Yu. He's a former top junior golfer trying to make it now as a poker pro.
My name is Blake Yu. I'm from Pasadena, California, and I'm a professional poker player. I started playing golf when I was around 4. I had a top 10 finish at the Junior PGA Championship one year when I was like 16, and then I won a national tournament in an AJGA event. I believe I was around 150th in the nation under 18. That's about as high as I ever got. I had a lot of friends that were into poker. The competitive appeal, just me competing against other players, you know, it's actually a lot like golf because it's, you know, an individual sport. That appealed to me. Like, you know, I like it when I'm able to take all the credit for winning, and I'm able to take all the credit for losing as well. You know, there's no one you can blame but yourself. And I kind of like that aspect of poker and just the cutthroat nature of it. I'm just a very competitive person.
Good golfer, good poker player. He's also trying to be a writer of novels. Now that's tough.
He just shoved for his last 84,000 with pocket eights. Mike Watson on the left with only 86,000 chips has a decision with ace-king suited, and he makes the call to put you at risk.
Bad call. What the heck? I thought you had like
Ace-king?
Oh my God. He tanked. That's crazy, man. I thought you had like really bad. Is this the main event? Like
Watson with 7 cashes at this World Series and 2 final tables.
Here's the flop. A set of eights for you. Turn cards a tray. Watson can't win the pot. Blake, you will double up.
There we go. Sweet. Yeah.
That's a dedicated railbird. They're not even in the money yet.
Blake, you that much closer, though.
How nice is that? No sweat.
Blake with 175,000. Watson cut down to just 1,500.
Dude, that was a pretty sweet window. I am, Blake. I am. Can I tip you?
Here's a friendly tip, Blake. Wait till the money bubble bursts before promising anyone cash. There often are not words to express the disappointment of busting out before the money bubble, whether late on day 3 or here on day 4. The pain is the same, and it's very real.
It's bad enough to bubble, and nothing's worse than being the bubble boy, and they call you the bubble boy.
Michael Mizrachi could cruise to the money, but that's not his style.
His style is I'm not happy till I have every chip on the table, and then I'll go eat a porterhouse steak for 2.
Rob Salaburu on his way to consecutive main event cashes.
His style is think long, go wrong. He still acts quickly and usually correctly.
Russell Thomas trying to go back-to-back, too.
Boy, Salaburu, Thomas, Greg Merson, and Steve G, 4 Octo-Niners, look like they're headed for the money again.
Back to center stage, the man with the most chips at that feature table, Doyle Brunson, on the verge of another main event cash, but life in Montana is always in the back of his mind.
Chip Reese was my best friend, and he married a girl from here. And he was telling me how beautiful it was and everything, and he invited me to come up one summer, and I came up and spent the summer and just fell in love with the place. I'm from a small town in Texas called Longworth. I saw we'd put up a sign that said "Long Way from Longworth." Well, coming up here is really a break. It's just so laid back, and you rest, go out on the boat, or just go out for a drive.
My dad's a real family man. I don't know if most people realize it, but we really just enjoy being together, whatever we do.
Well, family is very important to me. I think people that don't have family are really missing out on life. I'll stand up, I'll say, well, I'm glad y'all got to see me. That's my signal to tell a family it's time for them to go home. And, you know, and they all laugh because they recognize it now, and they get up and leave. So they put that on the back of the sign as you drive out. Anybody that spends much time here usually falls in love with this place. The quiet and the solitude, it just rejuvenates you. I'm glad y'all got to see me.
Doyle diagnosed in November 2012 with carcinoma, a form of skin cancer. It's his 4th time battling cancer, and he's beaten it every time.
Doyle Brunson with pocket 10s. I wonder if his favorite hand playing Omaha is 10-deuce, 10-deuce. A raise to 12,000.
Doyle's Mount Rushmore of poker players is Johnny Moss, Sailor Roberts, Puggy Pearson, and Chip Reese. Of course, Doyle should be part of any monument to the founding fathers of modern poker.
William O'Neill with pocket queens.
I had the thrill of playing an entire day with Doyle at a World Series Stud 8 event 2 years ago. He came up to me on one of the breaks and told me I played a lot better than he expected, but he said there were 2 or 3 leaks in my game, and if I plugged those, then I could really be a decent player.
2 or 3 only, huh? That's pretty good.
Yeah, I was happy about that.
The amateur with a re-raise to 40,000, no doubt getting Doyle's radar going.
So I ran into Doyle about a week later, and I said, Doyle, you mentioned to me there are 2 or 3 things in my Stud 8 game you could help me with. And he looked at me with a smile and said, oh, you'd have to read my book for that.
Doyle with the lesser pocket pair here needs 28,000 more to call.
Well, I'm not going to give Doyle any tips here. He won't help me. I won't help him.
He does call. He sees O'Neill doesn't have a huge tip stack, but not desperate either, about 275. And there's a queen and the flop, a set for O'Neill.
I also played several times with Doyle's son, Todd Brunson, bracelet winner, great player. When we were in a stud 8 event this year here, he tweeted he would retire from tournament poker if I outlasted him.
Did you outlast him?
He's still playing.
These two players check. Turn card, another queen. O'Neill turns quads.
O'Neill's got quads, Lon. Quads! That's about as fast as you can get them in this game, unless you get them on the flop.
And he's got Doyle betting into him, it looks like. 55,000, what Doyle says.
Well, O'Neill told us Doyle is his favorite player, and you know why? Because Doyle bets into you when you have quads.
O'Neill very proud of his 3 daughters, thinking right now, I'm going to beat Doyle Brunson, kids. There's just a call.
Well, look at that. Hands to the face, trying to conceal his strength. I used to room with Joe Navarro. I should know.
All right. The river card. Boy, if it's a 10, Doyle's in trouble. Now ace of spades. Doyle checks this time.
I suspect O'Neill will bet here, unless he fears quad aces.
Always a possibility in the main event. O'Neill reaching. Stack of orange, that's 20 of them, 100,000.
Half the pot. Texas Dolly doesn't like it much.
Well, Texas Dolly's hand got counterfeit. He's playing the aces and queens with a 10 kicker, and he does fold. And O'Neill, of course, has to show the quads.
That's the unwritten rule of us amateurs. We always show quads.
You weren't afraid of aces?
Could have been a 10 or river.
Yeah.
He's willing to take a chance.
I think Doyle folded ace-king.
Doyle thinking I've been beat by quads before and will be again.
If you folded ace-king, I quit right now.
So Doyle slips out of that hand without too much damage. He's heading for a main event cash for a 5th straight decade. His World Series started at Binion's in 1970 and continues here at the Rio in 2013.
Well, the main event's a huge thing. There's so many poker players that they don't really play any tournaments the whole year except this.
You just have to take things one hand at a time and just focus on what's going on right now, making the best decision at every individual decision point.
You hear people yelling, screaming, you don't even know if they won like a small pot or a big pot. I mean, these guys come here and, they wear their heart on their sleeve.
All right, here we are, guys. 650 players remain. 648 is the money. This is hand for hand. So at this time, dealers sit down, deal one hand. At the completion, stand up. Start the clock, please.
Here we go. 2 eliminations shy of the money. Minimum payout, $19,106. Each of the 73 tables plays one hand, then pauses until all the action in the room is complete. Rinse and repeat if necessary. Lakai with queen 9 of clubs, open for $10,000.
I remember I was on the bubble at my senior prom.
Allen gives up queen 4.
George Carlin is headlining at the Catalina Jazz Club this weekend. Should be a great show.
Some players nervous about playing any hand at this point, wishing for something to fold. It's like a nervous shortstop. Don't hit the ball to me. Doyle Brunson's not one of those. Pocket 7s in the small blind. He calls.
Doyle had that. I've seen pocket 7s before. Look to him.
Dan Hicks in the big blind comes along with 4 tray for cheap. Why not?
3 players.
All right, 3 to the flop. The money bubble nearing. Trey, Jack, 8. Pocket 7 still good for Doyle Brunson. He checks the best hand. Bottom pair for Hicks.
Hicks final tabled a World Series event in 2006.
What more could he expect playing 4 trey to get bottom pair? He checks. Lakai with a gut shot, bets $15,000.
Lakai won the EPT San Remo event in 2012 for nearly $1 million.
Doyle with the call. Hicks gets out of the way. Get a receipt for your donation, sir.
Doyle doesn't care about the bubble. He's just going to play poker.
Heads up now. Turn card. Deuce of diamonds. Status quo, of course.
I can't believe Doyle's checking back on his hand to see if he's got a diamond. That's something rank amateurs like myself do. Oh, he's Doyle Brunson. It's probably a reverse tell.
Doyle's pocket 7s are best at this point. $35,000 from Tex Dolly.
Yeah, Doyle doesn't care about the bubble. He's just playing poker.
Lakai with the gut shot folds. And so Doyle Brunson, who lost a pot to quads, now gets some back from the French poker pro.
I think a lot of players check fold that board, not Doyle. A very crisp play and read by the 1976 and 77 world champion.
Doyle still with the most chips at this table. Lakai second only to Doyle. All right, let's get to an outer table. Brian Kellogg is all in and behind. Kellogg's opponent, Eddie Sabat, flopped a pair of queens to grab the lead. Kellogg would finish just shy of the money.
Kellogg, an Ohio amateur. Sabat looking for his 6th World Series cash this year.
Turn card is a king. He's a big favorite now. Kellogg at risk, but ahead. The rest of the field can hear what's going on.
He's going to have to catch a queen over here, or all-in players going to double up. Deuce.
The river card. Another 4. Kellogg still with chips and a chance to cash.
I was also on the bubble at my junior year Sadie Hawkins dance.
Kellogg short stack, but still in it. And that is more than Brazilian Yuri Zivalewski can say. The man who knocked out Tony Gregg earlier, now out in 650th.
What goes around comes around. He was a kid with a dream.
All right, we get another look now at Blake Yu in the golf world. The money bubble will be like making the cut, I guess. So far, so good for Blake.
Man, that's 2 games where I can't make the cut.
Greg Merson catching up with folks on the rail.
Actually, it's possible this guy's giving Greg directions to the nearest nosebleed cash game.
I'm down to 15, but I think I'm going to make it.
All right, one more. I'm folding aces, baby.
I'm not even going to play aces.
You won't play aces?
No.
Come on, don't say that. Can't do that.
Over now to the table of 3-time World Series bracelet winner Farzad Banyadi, who just called all in on the river against Nick Schwarman. If Schwarman wins, the hand Banyadi will be out and the money bubble will burst. Let's see the cards. Banyadi with a pair of jacks. Schwarman rivered Broadway for the knockout, and we are in the money.
And he's the bubble boy. Bubble boy! Man, a 3-time bracelet winner shouldn't be bubble boy.
He started the hand with 45 big blinds, now must hang around for the ceremony. Farzad Banyadi making the last no-cash walk.
Oh, it looks like the FBI might be getting involved here.
648 players, congratulations, you're all in the money!
Greg Merson, the first main event champ since Joe Hashem to cash the following year. Well done.
Bubble just burst, so it feels pretty good. I was down really short yesterday, so it feels good to be here.
Hey, baby, I made the money. I made the money.
648 players rejoice, while one suffers the cruel fate as Bubble Boy. Back with more Day 4 in a moment. Stay tuned at 10 p.m. Eastern for more of the 2013 World Series of Poker main event. The biggest stars continue to battle on the biggest stage in the game.
Is Norman in the building today?
Yes.
Tell him to stop by here. We need him here.
Well, a busted draw, an inferior pocket pair.
Come on, man.
And G moves all in.
Wow.
I call.
Thomas does find it in himself to call.
I played without fear, and I didn't even think about the money spot. And then looking back, I'm thinking like, you know, I'm really happy with the way I played the main event final table until that one decision at the river on that limit. That's the only, that's the only decision I had a problem with.
And he says that one bad decision has been like an albatross on his back for the past year, but here he is again.
He's one of 4 of last year's Octo-Niners still in it this year. G, Merson, Thomas, and Salaburu. Pocket Kings for Jose Manuel Nadal from Mexico City.
Jose and his older brother Santiago both cashing in this main event. Very impressive.
Not Mizrachi-like, but impressive. Open raises to 11,000. Hicks in the small blind. Looks down at pocket jacks.
Ronnie Barda and Christian Harder, both with a record-tying 4th straight main event cash this year. That was most recently done by Chris Bjorn and Diogo Borges in 2011.
This is Hicks's 3rd main event, 2nd main event cash. Poker Pro from Tampa calls.
Robert Turner with 4 straight cashes from 1991 to 94, 10th, 36th, 13th, and 6th. Now that's in fields of under 300, but still some nice numbers.
All right, so Nadal and Hicks, 2 big pocket pairs clashing. Trey 8, Hicks with jacks up, Nadal with kings up, a check from Hicks.
Nadal also cashed in the 2010 main event, finishing 114th.
Nadal loves his hand. And that is 12,500.
Hicks, 41 years old, went to the University of Kentucky on a football scholarship. Plays poker now for a living.
Hicks has a good hand, but it's second best at this point. A raise from Hicks to 32-5.
Check raise, maybe pause for concern for the Pocket Kings.
But Nadal putting troops together. He repops it to 66,000. A big moment for Hicks. But how would the man with white magic play this?
All right, I love the way Hicks has played this hand. He's raised it to 32-5 on the flop. Really well done. He's kind of defined his hand. But now that Nadal has re-raised him, Hicks has a chance to get away from this hand, to take the door, to open the door, exit stage left, fold, get out of here. Save $130,000. Take a minute to study, make sure you're right, use some white magic, fold.
Raise. All in. No fold. He raises Nadal all in and a snap call.
All in. No white magic for Dan Hicks. Nadal in great shape for the double up. Hicks stands to lose more than 40% of his stack.
Yeah, Dan better hope he finds any kind of magic on the turn or river. All right, here is the turn. It is a king, and that will end it. Nadal turns kings full. A tough break for Hicks and the jacks. Nadal over 350,000.
Phil Hellmuth would have saved 130,000 on that one if he were Dan Hicks, third base coach.
Hicks surrendered almost half of his stack. He sits right now with about 195,000 after that loss. All right, let's get away from the feature table, go out into the field, and there you see on the graphic, one-time big-time chip leader Mark Kroon down to 214,000 at the moment. Back to the table of Max Steinberg on the right. He flopped jacks up. He's a huge favorite over the nines up of Augie Spets, a Norwegian pro who just saw Max bet 22,000.
Spets, a former IT manager.
Spets makes the call.
Steinberg holding on to that roller coaster again.
Turn card 5 of hearts. 3 hearts on board now.
I like Max in purple.
He checks in purple. And a check from Spets. River card. 6 of clubs. Jacks up, the best hand for Steinberg.
Great players value bet the river here. And Steinberg, as we know, is a great player.
50,000, and he will tell you that he's a great player.
Come behind there. Come behind. What do you think? Do you think I'm behind?
Maybe.
What do you want? We can't flip against it. Flip for a call or not?
That seems like a sound plan.
You want to do the flip? Television?
You can do whatever you want.
Okay, for fun. We're making the flip.
It's getting serious. Okay. Taking the hat off.
What? That's a bad flip. It's my decision.
Yes.
It was always
Translation. Let's see it. I think you have.
That was a no-look call. Bad decision, bad coin flip.
And that coin flip may have earned Max an extra 50K there.
Hope he doesn't buy cars that way.
And entertain Max Steinberg back in the chip lead. He and Max Coleman have been trading that top spot.
That's exactly the hand I had you on.
Then why'd you call?
Yeah, but you know, what do you do with 10 stairs?
Spets lost almost 20% of his stack, but still sits with 100,000 more than the chip average.
It was a bad call. It's often wrong when you think you're behind. I know.
All right, let's catch up with current world champ Greg Merson in the money again with ace-queen off. He just called the shove of Mike Watson, who had rebuilt his stack to 31,000. He holds deuces. All right, here's the flop with Watson at risk. And there's an ace for Merson. Watson in a deep hole.
That's a main event champ flop.
Turn card. Tray of clubs. Watson misses down to his final opportunity.
I get to see it last.
Watson's got to have a deuce.
The river card is the deuce. Watson hitting the 2-outer.
Watson sticks around. Merson doesn't seem to mind.
And Watson has life left in him, down to 1,500. He's up to 73,000 now. Well, it always stings to lose a pot, but maybe not if you're Greg Merson. He's got over 100 big blinds and very comfortable here on day 4 of the main event. Bracelet moments are presented by PokerNews.com. Mike Gordinsky overcame an 8-1 chip deficit heads up against Christopher Tong to capture victory in the $2,500 Omaha 8 and Stud 8 tournament.
It feels awesome. I've been thinking about it since I was 21, and it feels cool to finally do it.
The $1,500 Millionaire Maker event lived up to its name as over 6,300 entries created a prize pool of more than $8.5 million. Everyone at the final table guaranteed a 6-figure payday, but it was champion Benny Chin who won 7 figures, nearly $1.2 million, and the gold bracelet.
It's pretty surreal. So my first tournament win, first live tournament win, is the bracelet win, so gotta like that.
Prior to the main event, 4 millionaires were crowned at this year's World Series. Tony Gregg won $4.8 million at the one-drop high roller. The last main event winner that won less than $1 million, Mansour Matloubi, nearly 25 years ago.
FYI, Michael Mizrachi, the only player with $3 million plus paydays in World Series history.
Yevgeny Timoshenko at the secondary feature table, one of the more talented players on the poker circuit these days, came here from Ukraine at age 8 and has amassed nearly $5 million in tournament earnings, not including online play.
Some of you might remember him from his runner-up finish to Jay Cody in the 2011 World Series 25K heads-up event. He recently took some time off from poker to get his mind right, and he loves to play basketball to stay in shape.
Just above the chip average right now. Ike Haxton also at this table with a smaller than average chip stack. So you put Timoshenko, Haxton, and Oberstadt together, and it is one tough table. Yevgeny with pocket tens.
As soon as I saw Timoshenko here at the main event, I immediately sent Marc-Andre Ledessour a Dear John letter.
Timoshenko with a raise to 11,000. Annette Oberstadt, who won the first World Series Europe main event in 07, folds.
Talking about recent World Series millionaires, of course, the biggest paydays here ever. Antonio Esfandiari, $18.3 million for the 2012 one-drop, and Jamie Gold, $12 million for the 2006 main event.
Folded to Adam Friedman in the big blind with pocket fours. He calls for 6,000 more.
$8.3 million goes to the main event champ this year.
Here's the flop. 5-5 trade. Timoshenko's bigger pocket pair still in front. Friedman checks.
I like his look.
These two very close in chip stacks. Yevgeny with 12,005 here.
Adam looks thirsty.
No big gulp by his side. Yeah, he has calling chips.
Yeah, but this call is not rife with confidence.
Turn card, ace of clubs. Friedman picks up a gut shot and checks.
Jason Mercier calls Timoshenko one of the best no-limit hold'em players in the world.
He checks back. River card, another. Trey Friedman fails to run down Timoshenko. And checks again. Yevgeny.
Great players make great value bets. Timoshenko will try for some value right here.
Not too much, not too little. 18,000.
And Friedman seems rather beflummoxed. I know what it's like to be rather beflummoxed.
Paid off one hand 3 days. This might be the second.
A call. And the pocket tens will win it.
Knew it was an ace. That's good. That's him.
Nice. Wow, that's a hell of a bet.
Friedman takes the hit with a smile.
I'm just debating whether I had you pipped or not. I can go back and forth.
Timoshenko, no smile as he stacks his winnings up to 355 now. The field right now on the bottom rung of the pay ladder. The first pay bump worth more than $2,300. To our featured table, Frederick Howling. Queen 10 of spades.
Howling's hobbies are travel, sports, nightlife, and poker. He looks like his hobbies are travel, sports, nightlife, and poker.
He raises to 10,000.
George Carlin plays surprisingly by the book.
Michael Cloud in the small blind. First timer at the World Series, works in technology consulting back home in Illinois with Ace King.
Cloud grew up playing bridge, cribbage, poker, and pool. He looks like he grew up playing bridge, cribbage, poker, and pool.
A re-raise to 27,500. Now back to Howling. And he wants to see a flop.
27?
27.5.
17.5 more. And he'll get to see a flop. Cloud and Howling. All right, here's the flop. And there's a king in the window. Top pair for Cloud, a flush draw for Howling.
This could be like an action movie. Well, maybe not.
Cloud is a big Blackhawks fan, honoring their Stanley Cup championship by growing his own playoff beard during the main event. Bets 27,000.
Howling, 297th at the 2008 main event.
Howling with the flush draw. And those are calling chips.
He doesn't step out of line there with the draw.
Turn card, 9 of diamonds. Pair of kings for Cloud, still best. Howling picks up a double gutter.
Yeah, Cloud still in good shape with top pair, top kicker, but Howling's outs are growing.
Cloud bets 50,000 this time.
Howling getting better than 3-1 on a call here. He's not going anywhere.
He is one of the bigger stacks at this table, can afford to try and get lucky. He does make the call. Now the river card. It is a jack, and Howling is rewarded, rivering a straight.
Whew.
Now Cloud slows down.
Howling has the nuts, Lon. The stone cold nuts, hand delivered on the river in the gut.
Of course, he had to be there on the river. His perseverance paid off, and he bets 100,000.
Oh, and Cloud shoots Howling an Ushka. Ushka, look. That bet bothering Cloud, as it should.
Michael Cloud with top pair, top kicker.
He checked the river so he can get away here without further damage. But with top pair, top kicker, he may not want to get away.
And the nuts straight.
Cloud pays him off. Howling will stack the winnings. Cloud gives up almost 2/3 of his chips. So Frederick Howling with a nice pot. He has the most chips at this feature table. Everyone in the room guaranteed a minimum cash now, but it's the big dollars at the end of the rainbow that Cloud, Howling, and the rest of the players are after. The 2013 World Series of Poker is brought to you by the official WSOP social game. Download now on Facebook or your smartphone. Food deliveries to your seat starting to become quite popular at the main event. Never miss another hand. 585 players remain. Max Steinberg, the current chip leader. Let's get back to the secondary table. Big-time poker pro Ike Haxton with ace-jack just got re-raised pre-flop by the pocket queens of Pennsylvania native Eric Rappaport.
Rappaport graduated from Delaware Valley College. I believe they are the Horned Frogs.
Action on Haxton now. And with ace-jack, he will make the call. So everyone in the money. The agenda now is to stick around long enough to make the big bucks. The flop is 8-7 tray. Rappaport's pocket queens hold up for now.
Rappaport loves to bowl a lot. We got to like him for that.
We love him for that. And with his pocket queens, the best hand, he bets 23,000. Haxton now.
Haxton just looks like he knows what he's doing, other than the wedding ring.
Well, he does know what he's doing. Over $6 million in live poker earnings. He makes the call.
And he went to Brown, so he's well educated.
Indeed. Lives in Malta now, so he can play online poker. Turn card, deuce of hearts. Rappaport's still good.
This is Rappaport's first main event. Haxton finished 94th in the 2007 main event.
No bet from Rappaport that time. And Haxton says, sure, I accept charity. River card, 9 of spades. Rappaport has the best hand. Rappaport checks again.
Well, it looks like Haxton's going to try to steal it now. These two actually only have one pair of glasses between them. They are secretly trading during the hand.
70,000, quickly called by Rappaport, and he will take the winnings.
The 23-year-old with that quick call got exactly what he wanted. And Ike Haxton right now not in the best position to be bluffing off chips.
Yeah, his stack cut nearly in half. All right, let's jump from the secondary table to the outer tables. Back to Blake Yu, who holds the pocket queens. That will try to eliminate Rory Reese Brennan, who was all in with ace-jack.
Brennan also cashed at the 2010 main event.
Waiting for the flop. Brennan at risk. Trade 10-10. Blake Yu still ahead. Brennan missed that flop.
That face is the main event blues.
Indeed. Turn card, 8 of clubs, no help. Rory Reese Brennan needs to bring it.
Brennan's got to have an ace on the river.
The river card? The 5 of spades ends the main event for Rory Reese Brennan.
My eyes are not very good. So
Brennan gets knocked out in 585th place, worth over $19,000. So as Rory makes his exit, Blake Yu, who's more used to chipping in, is now starting to chip up here on day 4. Blake sits with about 20% more than the average stack.
Professional railbirding might be the wave of the future.
To Max's book in the top 10, Steinberg is on top.
Sometimes Max Steinberg calls with Jack high, and sometimes he plays great poker. He's the king of the hill at the moment. While one of the legendary kings of the game, Doyle Brunson, is still in the hunt for a 3rd main event title.
On a day when the money bubble burst.
Congratulations, you're all in the money!
A legend cashed with 647 others.
What's that ball? What the heck? Is this the main event? Like,
and Blake Yu's above par. That's good in poker.
No sweat.
Everyone inside the Amazon room can focus on winning it all now. For Norman Chad and Kara Scott, I'm Lon McCarran. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.